Mr. Fiero and Lady Jane Farmer, the Paradise Trap. The shimmer of time and space whirled around them as Mr. Fiero and Lady Jane Farmer emerged from their portal. A beautiful landscape stretched out before them, rolling hills covered in vibrant, tropical flowers, the air filled with the sweet scent of exotic fruits. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a golden glow over the vast terrain, making everything sparkle. Mr. Fiero took in a deep breath, smiling. This place, it's like we've stepped into a painting, Lady Jane. The colors, the air, it feels like we're walking through a dream. Lady Jane scanned the horizon with sharp eyes, her auburn hair catching the sunlight. A little too perfect, don't you think? I've seen utopias before, and they never turn out well. They walked for miles, marveling at the lush environment. Every tree seemed to overflow with ripe fruit, and colorful birds darted through the trees, chirping harmoniously. As they crested a hill, they saw a small community nestled by a crystal-clear river. The people, dressed in simple, flowing robes, waved and smiled warmly at the travelers. A tall figure, Rotha, stepped forward, his silver hair gleaming in the sunlight. He extended his arms wide in welcome. Travelers, welcome to Vast, the paradise of all paradises. We are honored by your presence. Please, let us care for you. The locals surrounded them, offering fresh fruit and water in golden goblets. They even offered to carry them so that their feet would not grow tired. Lady Jane hesitated but allowed the kindness, exchanging a cautious glance with Mr. Fiero. Time passed quickly in the paradise. Mr. Fiero and Lady Jane found themselves swept up in the ease of life. They had everything they could ever need: luxurious food, pleasant company, and breathtaking scenery. But Lady Jane had begun to notice something troubling. Their walks had grown shorter, their energy waning, while the locals around them seemed more vibrant, almost glowing with strength. One evening, as they lay beneath the stars, Lady Jane spoke in a low voice. "Fiero, I've been running some calculations. Something's wrong." Mr. Fiero turned to her, his face pale and drawn, his once strong frame appearing thinner. "Wrong? What do you mean? We've been resting, eating well. What could be wrong?" Lady Jane sat up, her brilliant red hair cascading down her shoulders. She pulled out a small device, its screen glowing faintly in the moonlight. "It's not the food. It's us. We're weakening, while they're growing stronger." Mr. Fiero's eyes narrowed. "You think they're taking our strength?" Lady Jane nodded grimly. "I've run the numbers. The longer we stay, the weaker we become. In Rotha, he's practically radiating power. It's not natural." The next day, Mr. Fiero and Lady Jane stood before Rotha in the center of the village. His face was serene, but his eyes gleamed with a sinister undertone. Mr. Fiero squared his shoulders. "You've been feeding off us. This paradise, it's a trap." Rotha smiled, his voice smooth like silk. "You call it a trap, but I call it survival. Our paradise is sustained by the energy of travelers like you. Without you, our way of life would crumble." Lady Jane clenched her fists. "You're killing us." Rotha waved a hand dismissively. "Death? No, no. You are simply giving. And in return, you experience the purest beauty, the greatest pleasures. Is that not a fair exchange?" As the days wore on, Mr. Fiero grew increasingly weak. His once sharp posture had slumped, and dark circles now shadowed his eyes. Lady Jane, ever vigilant, noticed how the locals avoided eye contact with her but paid special attention to Mr. Fiero. Every meal, they would heap more food onto his plate, constantly offering drink and fruit, though his appetite waned. One night, while Lady Jane was out gathering supplies from the misfits for their escape plan, Zift approached Mr. Fiero, her eyes gleaming with intent. He was sitting on a bench near the river, catching his breath after a short walk. The once strong time traveler now struggled with the most basic movements. Zuft sauntered over, her voice soft and dripping with concern. "You seem tired, Mr. Fiero. Let me help you. No need to fight it. You can rest now." She sat beside him, pressing herself close. Her perfume was overwhelming, the sweet floral scent clouding his already foggy mind. Zuf gently traced her fingers down his arm, her voice a silky whisper. "Why worry so much about tomorrow when today is so perfect? You could stay here, in paradise, forever." Mr. Fiero, his body too weak to fully register what was happening, blinked slowly, his mind drifting between suspicion and exhaustion. "I don't know. Feels like I'm losing something." Zuft smiled sweetly, her hand moving to cup his face. "Losing nothing. Gaining peace, gaining me. You've been carrying the weight of time for too long. Let it go." She leaned in closer, her lips hovering near his. But just as her touch began to take hold of him, a voice cut through the haze. Lady Jane, standing just behind them, had returned, her green eyes blazing with fury. "Get your hands off him." Zuf barely had time to react before Lady Jane's fist connected squarely with her lip. The force of the punch sent Zuf stumbling back, her hand flying to her face, a small trail of blood smearing her lip. Zuft, her voice shaking with a mix of pain and rage, glared at Lady Jane through tear-filled eyes. "How dare you?" Lady Jane stepped forward, her stance powerful and unyielding. "I dare because you're nothing but a leech. You think I wouldn't notice what you're doing? Get away from him. Now." Zuft, holding back tears of humiliation, hissed at Lady Jane as she backed away. "You'll regret this. Both of you will." With that, she turned and fled into the night, clutching her bruised lip, her sobs echoing faintly behind her. Lady Jane knelt down beside Mr. Fiero, who was still trying to clear the fog from his mind. She placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "Are you all right, Fiero?" He nodded weakly, his voice barely above a whisper. "I should have known. She was up to something. Thank you, Jane. You saved me." Lady Jane helped him to his feet, her tone firm but tender. "You saved me plenty of times. It's my turn." As they walked back to the Misfits camp, Lady Jane glanced back toward where Zuft had disappeared, her jaws set in determination. This was no ordinary paradise. The planet was draining them faster than she'd realized. Their time was running out. As their strength continued to fade, Lady Jane devised a plan. She gathered wires, spare parts, and tools from the Misfits, those who had been cast out by Rotha's people. The Misfits, grateful for the duo's kindness, agreed to help, offering their meager supplies and lending their hands. Lady Jane worked tirelessly, her mind racing against time as she pieced together a device that would allow them to break free of the planet's grip. Meanwhile, Nu, a boy from the Misfits, stood watch, alert for any sign of trouble. One evening, while Mr. Fiero stood guard, Nu ran up, breathless. "They're coming. Rotha knows you're planning to escape." Mr. Fiero turned to Lady Jane, his voice sharp. "We need to move, Jane. Now." As Rotha and his followers stormed towards them, Lady Jane frantically connected the last wire to her device. Lady Jane gasped, her fingers trembling. "Hold them off, Fiero. I just need a few more seconds." Mr. Fiero drew his weapon, firing at the oncoming crowd. "Seconds we don't have, Jane. Hurry." Their bodies were growing weaker by the second, their once strong frames now frail. Every moment felt like an eternity as they fought against the draining energy of the planet. Finally, with a spark and a flash, Lady Jane activated the device. The ground beneath them trembled, and the air shimmered as the time portal began to open. Lady Jane stumbled towards Mr. Fiero, her voice weak. "It's ready. We have to go now." They leapt through the portal just as Rotha reached out to grab them. With a final surge of energy, they were pulled through time and space, collapsing onto the floor of their ship. As they lay on the floor, gasping for breath, their bodies skeletal but alive, Lady Jane looked over at Mr. Fiero and smiled faintly. "Lady Jane, I'll say it. That was too close." Mr. Fiero chuckled weakly, wiping sweat from his brow. "Lady Jane, I think we need a vacation." The ship hummed quietly around them, a reminder that no paradise, no matter how beautiful, was ever truly free of danger. And so, Mr. Fiero and Lady Jane escaped the clutches of Vast, leaving behind the paradise that had nearly consumed them, but freeing the misfits to forge their own lives in the wilderness far from Rotha's control. The adventure continued, but this one would forever remain a haunting reminder that beauty often hides the darkest truths.